like it. So I never thought like those type episodes would be the ones that take off, but they always are. But
Come,
give
come out of
give the
left
people
field.
what they want. Give the people what they want. I think we're live. Nick, how's the weather in Kansas today?
Yeah, not too bad today. Just
It's still smoky as shit here.
yeah, it's kind of dry, a little windy.
Kansas.
Pretty well typical Kansas.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's about how it is. Yeah, it was. We got that. I forget the name of that fire, but it's over there on the California border, and I don't know how many acres it's burned already, but it last 2 days it just. I mean, you could kind of see the hills today, but yesterday you couldn't even see the mountains, and you only have to drive about 20 minutes either way to be climbing a hill. And yeah, you couldn't even see them yesterday. It was thick, and then it like made everything kind of humid, but there's no moisture in the ground at all. Like we've had we've had a couple little squalls blow through the last week. Like one a day, but it's just enough to kind of knock the dust down for about a half a day. But it'll be humid first thing in the morning, then it kind of burns off. But not yesterday. I mean, and yesterday and today it's just been humid all day, and I think it's just keeping that damn keeping that smoke is keeping the humidity in. I don't know, but it was gross. It wasn't too hard to breathe. It didn't seem like we had last month we had a pretty big fire just a couple of valleys over, and that one got kind of hard to breathe, coughing quite a bit, which you really don't want to go into town to do grocery shopping when it's smoky outside, or nowadays anyways. You cough and everybody.
You got the Rona.
I know it. It seems like every time I've gone to town here lately, I just have a knack for just sucking a bunch of spit down the wrong pipe and hacking up a lung in the middle of the grocery store, and
Watch the look of horror.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right
it's
when
Go ahead,
right,
Nick.
right when all this coronavirus stuff started up, there was a guy in Scott City, Kansas, who got arrested for domestic terrorism for intentionally coughing on somebody.
Oh shit. It's yeah. They're you seeing people like getting pepper sprayed and shit now for not wearing a mask, and I don't know. I think we're living in a simulation. This shit just ain't even real. I don't know. I don't. It's a wild time we're living in, but hey, it's all right. It ain't all bad. I was telling, well, like I said at the end of the Kit Carson or the Battle of San Pasqual episode, I've never had to walk 30 miles barefoot across the fucking desert to get reinforcements that may or may not make it back in time to save your buddies. So at least I got that going for me.
that is a plus.
It could be worse, I suppose.
Yeah, there's some real world issues that we always got to deal with, but for the most part, the issues I get the most pissed off about are all stuff that I read about on the internet and don't particularly affect me all that much. And that, I don't know, that's kind of why I've kind of toned down on the political episodes here lately, because it's the same shit, just a different day, and it just gets crazier, and it ain't gonna stop at least till November. So fuck it. I almost have to tune it out at this point.
Go on.
Yeah, I had to quit reading articles and news of any kind because I was just getting too pissed off, and I shouldn't. I don't feel like I should read an article and have that much emotion about it.
Yeah. One trick that I can pass on to the world that helps that, instead of like I always go Google News, because well, as soon as I get a new phone, I'll go back to iPhone, so it'll be Apple News, but Google News, Drudge Report, and then I Google Florida Man and just read a couple Florida Man stories, and that'll always make things a little bit better. Yeah. Florida, they might as well be their own country. They raise them a little different down there. That's one of those really weird states. Like you've got like Deep South Confederacy and like hipsters and Cubans. Like it might as well be like another universe down there. I mean, it's weird. I think there's some Cajuns down there too, and I don't know. It's just they got and they're all on meth. It seems like everybody just is bottle fed meth.
Poker meth, and away they go.
Yeah. Oh, but you know who doesn't do meth? Stetson Ranches. They do beef, and they do it right. They're up there in Fromberg, Montana. My good buddy Jesse and his dad Jay and mom Tina and his sister Krista. They are working on building a multi-generational sustainable ranch for many generations to come. They're a very diversified, forward-looking outfit, and I just really think they're doing things right. They're adapting to the current market, and to do that, you got to diversify. So start off with, they got industrial hemp. Jesse just posted some pictures. That stuff was 9 foot tall. 9 foot tall cannabis plants. They got some really cool stuff in the works for that. They're still working on it. Can't really talk about it, but gonna be pretty neat. And then they've got some of the best quarter horses you can get. They got some really old foundation bloodlines, really nice horses. The mares are built how you'd like them, whether you're rodeo, ranch cowboy, feedlot, whatever. They're big, soggy, heavy bone, athletic mares. They got a butt about as big as my studio here, and they got a good mind to them. They're going to be spitting out some really nice babies, and then also the cornerstone of their outfit is the direct-to-consumer beef. That means you, the individual person who's buying beef at the grocery store, worried about the prices. Well, you can get a beef from Stetson Ranches that's going to be born, raised, fed, and finished out at Stetson Ranches. We're talking black baldy calves coming off of registered black Angus cows, registered Hereford bulls, covering those calves, and we're talking prime beef for $6.95 a pound, all the way from a full beef to an eighth of a beef package, and it's delivered right to your door. You know the people that's raising it. You know it's the highest quality cattle, highest quality feed you can get, and you get ribeye, sirloin, roast, hamburger, all for about the price that you pay for hamburger in the grocery store. It's a good deal. It's great beef and even better people, and really glad they're part of the show. And to go beef on top of beef, because that's what we do, we're going with Loma Livestock. You know my buddy George Raftopoulos, running the best goddamn sale barn in North America there in Loma, Colorado. Got a sale going tomorrow, I think. Yes, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and next week as well. They're starting to go back to the weekly schedule, gearing up for the fall run. George is doing it upright. Same thing. He's adapting to the market. He's integrating technology, and the cool thing about that is if you can't make it to Loma, Colorado on Fridays, you just go over to dbauction.com, click on the Loma Livestock tab. You can watch the sale live, and you can bid right there. And you can do it while you're sitting in your boxers trying to beat the heat at home. And it's a glorious deal. You got any questions for him? Give him a holler, 970-858-9988. Check him out online, lomalivestock.com, or Loma Livestock on Instagram and Facebook both. So check them out. All these guys, you hear about them. If you do any business with them, tell them you heard about it on Burning Daylight. Helps us both out. So appreciate the sponsors. Thanks, Jesse and George. And we got Mr. Rainer Hildebrand on the show today. He is a bit maker out of Iowa, southwest Iowa. And then Nick Lute, you know him, Rawhide Braden Fool. And not so Wayno on cleaning pins. He sent us a picture the other day. He had that sucker buried. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you couldn't even see the hitch on the back of the tractor. It was a bad day.
I've had those days where I was trying to knock this pile down. Our loader operator did a really shitty job, and he just left. He left about a 12-foot peak, but there was no like hill leading up to it. He just instead of like building into it and like leaving a drop off, he came around all different sides and just left a giant peak. And I was trying to knock that down a little bit, and then I got high centered on on said hill, and it took a loader to come pick the scraper up enough, and then another loader on the front to pull me off of it without breaking a bunch of shit. But yeah, no harm done.
Yeah, where I got that tractor stuck, I had cleaned the bunk line and that pin off with the Bobcat, and mounted all that stuff up a couple of months ago. And I was going back through to scrape the whole pin, and I had knocked off the high points of it, and I was taking my first run across the middle of it, and I hit a pretty soft spot and just sunk right down. Luckily, though, the oil pan saved me from going any further. So, I mean,
that's a plus.
Got that going for me.
Built-in flotation device.
Yeah.
We, for some reason, well, I guess it's partially because the yard I work for, we used to be. I don't know if we were part owned by Harris Beef or if we just fed their cattle for them. I'm not sure exactly how the ownership worked on it, but we did a lot of business with Harris Ranch, and their feedlot is in Coalinga, California, which Sun Belt. It's I think they're just south of the Central Valley, if I remember right. So it gets pretty warm down there, and they go cabless tractors for cleaning pins because they think it keeps people on their toes and off their phone. It sounds nice till it's about 10 degrees outside and you gotta go clean pins or some shit, and yeah, that shit sucks. And then in the summer it seems like every time I get on the scraper, like the wind just completely shuts off. There's no breeze, and you just got fine shit dust hanging in the pin the whole time. But hey, I think I'm immune to the Rona just because of that type of shit. So I don't know. I don't have any scientific evidence to back it up. But hey, I don't think you need that anymore.
Yeah.
No, that's not hard. As long as you haven't had it, that's good enough evidence that you're immune.
Yeah, pretty much. And then if you happen to be a Republican that gets it, then you'll get ridiculed until you recover, and then just like the story goes away. But I don't know. It's weird. This whole thing is fucking weird. So what's it been like in Iowa this whole time?
Well, this year's been a fun year for 2020. If you live over on the kind of the western part of the state, on down in the southwest part, we're dry, bad dry. But if you're up towards the north central, well, they had that Dureco
Yeah, what was
inland,
that thing?
inland hurricane. All it was, now coming from a Kansas kid, all that was is just straight line winds.
Oh, okay.
That's all it was. And you know, we caught just a very southern tail of it, and oh, I'd say the wind got up, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 miles an hour here. But if you get on north of us about an hour, and then clear east into Illinois, it just flattened everything. There's
Huh.
there's torn down. It looks like somebody pulled into bean fields with a D9 and just dropped the blade and went across it. And it was a it was a pretty fun deal. I mean, there's still people that they don't have power. They're talking like they ain't gonna have power till maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
That
But
was like Cedar Rapids, wasn't it?
yeah, Cedar Rapids area and Marion, they got hammered on bad with them winds. I think they were clocking up around into the 120, 30 range. And
Doof.
yeah, I mean, it put a hurting on the farms up there. That's for dang sure. But like I
Oh
said, down
yeah.
here we're dry. We ain't had rain for, well, we ain't had. I think we got a half inch like a month or two ago, and been cooking in the 90s all summer. So we could use a little spot of moisture. The
Yeah, that's
grass
kind of the way we are here.
grass is dried up, hay fields are dried up. So yeah, I mean it's just a typical pain in the ass year.
Yeah, they kind of got some late snow up high, and so the water's still running in the rivers, but shit, we haven't had any rain to speak of really. I mean, like I said, it was about 3 days last week. In the afternoon had come in, and yeah, maybe a tenth, maybe just enough to kind of knock the dust down first thing in the morning. But it dried up pretty quick. We haven't had the first part of summer we had wind pretty consistently every day, but we haven't had much here lately, so that's helped, I guess. But man, it's yeah, it's just one of those. It's a hell of a year, all the way around.
How's how's like the lockers over in you guys' necks of the woods? Like
The
for your
which
meat
ones?
lockers, and
Uh,
whatnot. Your little local packing.
oh, they are booked up through the end of the year, I think.
Yeah.
I it's gonna be tough to get some cattle to slaughter. Like I think people started the guys that like regularly do that. We have a local guy that feeds 6, 8, 10 head a year or something like that, just depending on his demand. And he even last year before all this shit went down, he had to schedule it out. He takes it up to Reno to the university and to their meat lab, and he had to space him out over about 3 months uh, to get him killed and cut and wrapped. And I don't know I haven't talked to him this year, but I imagine everyone else I've talked to, they're booked out for quite a while. Like the guys I took mine to, they only kill on Tuesdays, I think. So, uh, you're talking 3, 4 head a week maybe, and I don't know. It's just the way everything's set up. it's just tough. They can't comply with the regulations to be able to expand and become a USDA inspected deal. So
Yeah.
they got to do just custom stuff, and it's still even with all this shit that went down, it's still just tough to do all that. So it just kind of is what it is. If they'd ease up on some of the regulations, they'd be able to hire a few more people, expand a little bit, and use the state inspector. That'd be a huge deal. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than a USDA
Yeah.
inspected. But yeah, it's yeah, there are ways out on getting cat. I imagine it's probably the same there, ain't it?
Yeah, from pretty well from Kansas City up to oh Minnesota, and I mean all your little local butcher shops and that sort of thing. Um, they're booked out to about March, April on
Mm.
on
Yeah,
on their
that's
beef
about
and
right.
hogs. The when when the whole Rona deal come on the play and livestock markets, they kind of hit that little hiccup. There were a lot of guys up here hog producers. Of course, Iowa I think is like the number one as far as for hogs in the nation or something like that as
I
producer
think
wise.
so.
They were like giving hogs away because they had nowhere to take them and they were ready to be finished out, and then the lockers filled up like immediately.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and they had to euthanize a bunch of them hogs because they
oh
just
yeah,
had nowhere to go with them.
well,
That's a bad thing.
even I talked to a couple of guys. Even they were having a hell of a time getting rid of their beef. I mean, we don't have big yards up here like down south and out west, but I mean, there's guys that are feeding out, maybe 50, 60 head, 100 head of calves, and
Yeah,
and I mean, if they don't market to the locals, I guess you could say, they can't get rid of them.
yeah.
You,
Well, and the bad part about that is, as your part of the world is kind of what sets the cash basis for all these formula cattle
yeah,
feeders is it's all based off of Iowa, Nebraska, and like Montana farmer feeder type cat, the guys that sell them cash basis, and
cash based.
there's
Yep.
just not many of them. We had a question here on the live stream, Dan. Why is a state inspected facility be cheaper than USDA? The big reason for that is to be USDA inspected, you have to comply with all of USDA regulations in order
Federal
to
standards.
yeah, you have to comply with the federal standards, and and once you do that, you have to like retrofit your plant, all that horse shit, and then you can get a USDA inspector in there, and then you can sell across state lines, or you can sell retail. As of right now, if you're state inspected, you can only sell custom, and you can only sell within the state. And so a lot of people get around it by you know the guy feeding it will deliver it to the packer, and then under your name, and then you pay the packer. You pay the guy for a live animal rather than a cut and wrapped animal. It's not hard, but it's a pain in the ass. It really is. And like the Prime Act, which Thomas Massey, I haven't heard much on that lately. There's a whole apparently there's an election season going on too, so that shit it wasn't gonna get a whole lot of attention anyways, but now that we're 70 days out from the election or whatever, that shit's really not gonna play. But so what his proposal is, it would remove the standards for like the federal standards, so all your local butcher shops, not only could they do custom processing, but they could go kill their bid on fat cattle and market it themselves, or you could have them custom butcher it, and you can sell it retail that way without having to jump through the extra hoops of transfer of ownership nonsense. It's all a regulation and tax revenue game. That's all it is. And yeah, it's one thing that could really help. I mean, like we found out pretty quick that even though we've got these plants that can pump out 5,000-6,000 head a day, which is pretty it's pretty incredible when you think about it. But when those plants go offline, well, you got a backup of cattle real quick, and nowhere. There's a lot of people that could take up that slack. Physically, they could. Regulation wise and legally, they can't, and that's where you got, and I think they were slaughtering like 1,700 pound steers by the time they started getting those plants back online, and yeah, it's just it was a mess. It's a mess. Yeah, go make sure you tell your representatives and senators to get behind that Prime Act. That would help out a lot. It'd do a lot to help the just the independent producer too. It might you're not going to see the direct effects right away, but year or two down the road when you can let those smaller guys, you can free them up to actually expand a little bit. A couple of years from now, you'll see a lot more competitive cash price on your cattle, which is gonna in turn drive the price on the formula stuff too. So it's a good thing that probably won't go through because it's makes too much sense. And it takes money away from the feds,
Yeah.
so they're 100% against that.
They don't like that money losing.
So yeah, Rainer, how'd you get into building bits?
Oh,
And spurs too, I guess. You build spurs and all sorts of metal work.
Yeah, I pretty well just build whatever. Belt buckles a bit. Pretty well like a lot of guys. Broke cowboy, and I wanted some of those fancy nice things, and I've always kind of dabbled with it. I made a couple bits in high school, and I think I made a set of spurs, and well, I think it was one of Brian Monty's bits on Facebook when I first learned of Facebook, and I seen that and I'm like, damn, I kind of like something like that. I'm gonna see if I can make something, and well,
yeah,
it's kind of snowballed from there.
Well, yeah, as long as people are still buying, I guess you're doing something.
Yeah, I've kind of shut down my custom orders for a while. I've got two bits that I modified in my tack room, and I think I have one that I've built myself. And my kids didn't have any of my stuff, so I took a little break from customer orders, and I've been building stuff for the kids and that sort of thing. But I kind of about once a year I kind of pick out a deal to like a benefit deal, make a bit for
Yeah.
whatever and that. So we got one of those coming up in October, November, something like that. That I got a bid I'm gonna send. So kind of get some of my
Right
stuff
on.
out.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of guys out there that make bits and like, and leather work and stuff. They're a lot easier to find nowadays. But I remember even just a handful of years ago, I'd still go to Crazy House or somewhere to buy reins and a headstall, and I'd always just marvel at how it cost me $90 for a headstall that, my kids, little kids, shap leather was thicker than the head stall,
Yeah,
and it's like, man,
yeah,
I gotta. And then I joined a couple Facebook groups, and I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of guys out there that make good stuff, and it's about the same price as what you'd pay at a big tack store, and a
oh
hell
yeah,
of a lot better
yeah,
quality. And
yeah.
so really ever since then, I've just kind of always bought handmade stuff because it always has a stigma of being a hell of a lot more expensive, but um, you really get to comparing prices. It's
Oh yeah.
not that much more expensive.
I try to keep my prices catered to the working guy. I mean, I grew up as a gypsy cowboy.
Mm,
So we bounced around, and I didn't. I think I see my first handmade bit. Oh, it was when we were out in Nebraska, I think, and I just marveled at it. I'd never seen one that was silver and looked like that. And I I, I think back now, I want to try to keep my stuff decent enough price so a fella can making sitting out in cow camps can be able to afford a little bit of it, have a little pride in some of his stuff. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. And well, like I said earlier, experimenting with uh, matching up styles, I guess you could say. Um, I've kind of been really getting into that. It
Well,
drives a
I
traditionalist
saw
nuts.
a yeah, it really does. I saw a spade bit the other day that had a 7 style cheek on it, and I thought it looked kind of cool. I don't remember where I saw it, but boy, the buckaroos tore it apart for whatever reason. But I thought it looked pretty damn slick. They had it blinged out. It was a little too fancy for my taste, but it was a really sharp looking bit, and it was unique because I mean it was like a team roper style 7 shank, but with a spade. And I don't know, I'm not real familiar with the mouthpieces on the spades, but I mean it was different. I mean, it was definitely a mashup, but I didn't see any reason why it wouldn't work just as good. But I don't know.
I, I,
Some of,
I go on.
some of those guys, they get too hung up on tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they'll
mean,
argue first thing in
it's
the
dumb.
morning about what's the most traditional way to take a shit,
Yeah.
and whether or not the old vaqueros or Ray Hunt, uh, if he wiped with his right hand or his left hand, and it's there's a lot of shit like that I hear, and I get, like, I hold to tradition a lot. I think it's important, but there's also purity tests are a real son of a bitch once you start going
Yeah.
down that road.
Yeah. You end up in a rabbit hole there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I bet if you could go back to uh, pre-colonial California, and you could have taken that 7's cheek bit and showed it to some of those old vaqueros, they would have ate that shit up like fucking
Oh
crap.
yeah, guaranteed.
Oh yeah. Well,
They would have ditched the Riatas in a heartbeat if you would have shown them a good poly nylon blend, something that's not gonna break when you come tight.
get a little stretch
They
to
would
it.
have ate
Yep.
that shit up, and I bet you they still would have figured out those cool loops. Uh,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, there's something really cool about a guy roping with a Riata, but man, if I'm gonna spend $400 on it, I ain't gonna go just rope a whole bunch of shit on it either. That's almost a collector's item at that point.
Yeah, I've roped with a Riata about 3 times. The first time I did was in a real small pin because I was not real good at sliding rope at that time, and I didn't want to break it. I spent like $250 on it, and I got it used. It was only like 50 foot long. And the second time I roped in a larger pin, everything went okay. And the third time I snapped that some bitch right in half. So I ain't spending that money on it anymore. Not for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, even especially when you get into buckaroo shit, you know, like I was talking with Dakota the other day. You know, he ties on hard, and you know, it's nothing to spend $100 on a 60-foot ranch rope. You know, especially if you're ordering a Honda, you know, a rawhide Honda with it. But you know, I had this this little green poly nylon blend that I bought. I like the shit out of it. It feels really nice. That last video I did, the backhand was I forget what they call it, but I bought it from. I don't remember if I bought it from 310 or from Cowboy Cordage. Same company. 310 just, you know, they resell Cowboy Cordage ropes. But like this, I think the first day I used it, I pulled a heifer out of a feed bunk. You know, I just looped it on her front legs and drug her out, and it got kinked on one of the bunk stands, and now it's got a twist in it, and it's not a big deal until I go to coil it back up, and then I've always got like 2 coils that are out of place, and it bugs the living shit out of me. It's one of those. I don't have severe OCD, but the stuff that I do have OCD about is pretty bad, and that's one of them. Like, I always like my coils uniform size, and you know, I always like the Honda down kind of by my knee instead of up by my rope holder. I don't know, for whatever reason, that's how I like it. And now that rope is fucked for that purpose because it's got 2 coils that are out of place, and it bugs the dog shit out of me. And then when you want to go, yeah, and it's right where you would slide too. Like, if you know, it's about 25 foot from the end and or from the loop, and yeah, so right as you go to slide something, you got a kink in there, and it's, you know, it'll either burn the shit out of your hand, or it'll pop off your horn, and then you're not sliding anymore. It's not sliding on your hand or on the horn. It's sliding on your hand, and but yeah, if that would have been a Riata, it would have just snapped, and then I would have had to figure out how to braid it back together and splice it, and yeah. Well, it's pretty cool watching those guys.
Yeah, but, if you ever buy a Riata and break a strand or snap it or something, let me know. I can fix a strand broken, but I'll buy it if it's broken half.
Yeah, just rebraid it.
I can use it for other things. Yeah, I turned mine into braid.
There you go. Are you cutting your own strands yet, or are you still buying them pre-cut?
I started cutting a hide up tonight. I've got tools to cut and to split the hide down to an even thickness, but I right before I got on here, I was trying to make something to bevel my strings. I don't have a fancy lace cutter. I've just got an old Osborne draw gauge that I cut my strings with, but I've got nothing to bevel it, so I've got to fashion something up real quick.
Does that work on regular leather, or is it?
Yeah, I've used I've used the same stuff to cut latigo strands with and make quartz and whatnot.
Huh? I may have you cut me some reins one of these days.
Oh, yeah. That stuff's easy.
That's one of those things. I actually almost got into the leather building business after I got fired from Cactus. I was kind of day working and whatnot, and then a buddy of mine there in Syracuse, he got way behind on his leather work because
Tipton,
he's pretty damn good at it. Yeah, yeah,
he's got
Kelly
some good
Tipton.
stuff.
He's really good, and he's not all that proud of it. He's kind of got a insecurity deal, and there's one time I actually paid him more than what he was asking because I didn't want him to go out of business because he builds good shit and and it's pretty cheap. And but I went by his shop a couple times and I was gonna like cut some stuff out for him and whatnot, just kind of help him get caught back up, and then never did happen after that. And I've always thought I could probably make my own shit, but it's also I always thought I could probably shoe my own horses, but yet I still don't. So
That's another reason why I learned how to build bits.
Yeah.
I got tired of shooting dinks.
It's one of those things I never learned how to do it. I never really had to. We had you know, I never worked on a big outfit where you were that far away from town where you had to go. I had to actually shoe your own horses. I never worked on an outfit like that, and I just at the end of the day it was just like, man, I could learn how to do this, or I could spend, at the time it was like $75, and I'll just have somebody else do it for me, and I don't have to worry about it. So that's what I did. Or you work at a feedlot, and then that your shoes are covered anyway. So I just the like if a Grant County Feeders would gave me a stipend, whether I could either shoe them myself or pay somebody to do it, I might have went ahead and learned. But I just they had their shoer, and that was it. So I never learned, and I don't really regret it that much.
I don't blame you there. It's a hell of a lot easier to pay somebody else to do it for you, but it kind of helps to know what they're doing to make sure they're doing it right, I guess.
Yeah, I can do it. I've learned enough. Yeah,
I can do it, but I don't want to. They'll walk the next day, but I'm not going to go out and try and get customers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I always think that I could probably tack a pair of shoes on, but I damn sure don't want to try it because it's going to be on my horses that I use, and I don't need anything coming up lame on account of I have plenty of chances to make them come up lame by just doing stupid shit on them. I don't need it I don't need to do it on trying to make them walk better. So I'll trim them, but that's about as far as I go. And if it's corrective trimming, I'll pay somebody else. I'm okay with that.
I think trimming and leveling a hoof is more difficult than actually nailing a shoe on.
Oh, absolutely. That's 90% of shoeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can level a hoof and balance their legs, that's the main deal. Putting the nails in when you don't know how to do it seems like it's the most difficult part, but it's really the easiest part.
Yeah.
Unless they don't stand still, and then that just makes everything difficult.
Yeah. I was gonna have that Derek Mott guy on, the farrier out of North Dakota. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff. Trying to get him where he's got a free night to come on, but I love listening to his farrier customer rants. He is a hoot. He's another one of those guys that's got a way with words. How he puts it, it's funnier than hell.
I had a couple customers that would fit right into his videos, and the one that comes to mind, my dad lined up for me, is when I was just kind of first starting out, and he says, "Well, I'll get you some clients lined up." I said, "Okay." Well, there's I got two head for you. to do on Saturday. So I says, okay. Didn't ask, whose they were or anything like that. I'm like, all right, I got paying customers, so go do them. Well, they turned out to be a 10-year-old Mustang mare and a 12-year-old stud
Oh,
that come off of the
the
range
good kind.
the year before.
Oh, the good kind. Like they're just the
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
horses everybody dreams of.
Oh,
Dog.
yeah. And they were Kathy's backyard pet. And some
Oh
bitches were
yeah.
dragging around a 30-foot rope so they could get a hold of them to even, get within 10 foot of them. Uh,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and and they says, "Oh, well, can you shoot? Can you trim their feet for me?" I said, "Well, yeah, but it probably won't be pretty." Well, I just want them trimmed. I'm like, okay. So we started in on this stud horse, and this son bitch. I mean, he went up in the air and was wild, just wild. So we ended up laying him down and 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 hiking a foot up on him, and I did him laying on his side, and he goes, well, isn't that hurting him? I'm like, lady, I really don't give two shits if it's hurting him as he's laying down. I'm trying to keep him getting killed here.
I don't know if it'll hurt if he's gonna kick me in the head because I'm not sure if I'm gonna live through it. But if I live
Yeah.
through it, I guarantee you it's gonna hurt like a son of a bitch.
I think that was the first and last time that those horses ever had their feet trimmed by, well, me for sure. Because when I was loading my tools up, I says, well, he says, well, when do you want to come next? And I says, well, as soon as you can get to where you can hold the foot up and you can mess with it and keep it up in the air for 5 minutes. Well, what if I can't do that? And I said, well, just run them up and down the highway a few miles and you'll get them feet wore down about right.
You got a long enough lead on them, just tie them to your bumper and take them for a stroll.
You know
that.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one of the things I've always, because I've been around. I've had to hold a horse, especially a young horse, for our shoer a lot when I was growing up, and so like I know what a pain in the ass it is. So I take precaution. I work with my horse's feet before I ever bring anybody out, just for that reason. And then I've got a pretty good relationship with my shoer here, and I'll tell him, I was like, she should be okay. She may not. And we got some Dermosedan if you need it, and if she's wanting to fight you, I said just leave her be. She can be sore. I don't give a shit. Yep. We'll make sure the next time you're around, it'll be a little easier for you. And I don't know. I've never. I love horses. I love cattle. I love working with them, but I don't love them any or more than any shoer that I'm paying money. Like even I've had some shitty shoers, but I still don't want to see them get kicked in the head. I wouldn't mind watching it, but I don't want it to happen. I mean, if it happened, I'll watch it repeatedly. I don't want it to happen, but if it's there, I will watch it. But yeah, I try to make sure my horses are in, you can sure enough mess with their feet. I had my shoer give me one of his old wore out hammers just so I could hammer on their feet just to get them used to the impact. Yeah. And then I thought, well, you should probably get a pair of nippers too. And then I was like, stop, fuck all of that. No. I got a hammer. Might as well get an anvil and some nippers too. And then I was like, no, that's stupid. Why would I do that to myself?
Yeah, you start acquiring the tools, and you're gonna have to learn.
I know it, and that's. I know it, and then it's not so much that I probably would enjoy it for a little while, and it'd be handy in the long run just so I'd save a little bit of money. But then I'd have another reason that my wife bitches at me about not spending enough time with the family. So it'd be like I gotta shoe a horse and then I gotta record a podcast, and she's like, I haven't seen you in 3 months. I'm sorry, baby.
Making this money.
Yeah. And then she's like, where's the money? It's coming. It's coming.
The check hasn't cleared yet. That's all.
This one's on a trade deal. It'll be fine.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my wife hates hearing that.
Yeah.
Oh, these are going so-and-so for something I traded. She was like, well, we could have used the money. Well, I traded up, so it's okay.
Yeah. They're just building the trade bag. That's all it is. And one of these days, that trade bag will be worth a lot of money.
It's an investment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's how every cowboy that is ever actually cowboy. That's how you view it. It's not a frivolous purchase. It's an investment, because I can always trade it later unless I break it. But whatever, that never happens. We don't break shit. We're cowboys. Oh, so you said you spent quite a little bit of time in Kansas at the cowboying at feedlots. Well, so yeah, you from Iowa originally, I take it?
No, I'm kind of I'm an immigrant. I was born up in the northwest corner of Kansas. We lived in the border up in Oberlin, and and we lived about halfway between Oberlin and McCook, Nebraska for a while, and then we went up to the Sand Hills for a while, and after that I was out in Colorado for a little bit, and my dad moved back here to Iowa, and he's originally from kind of this area, I guess, and so I've trained horses pretty well for the most part all over, Kansas, Nebraska, Illinois for a while, Missouri. I got a hell of an education in Missouri, but yeah, I've kind of bounced around and just a wandering gypsy, and I guess you could say I kind of decided to settle down a little bit and grow up, and so I got a little place here, and we run a few cows, and I help my in-laws with their cows and that. So all my cowboy friends, they're like, why Iowa? I says, well, it only takes an acre and a half for a cow and a calf pair, to get through a year here. Whereas, if I was back out in some of the places in Nebraska or even down in Kansas, it's going to take a hell of a lot more ground to race cows out. So,
I think on an average rainfall year in Baca County, so that's anywhere from like 11 to 13 inches of rain a year, which, they say that's an average year, but I'll be 35 this year, and I've not seen that many average years of rainfall in my lifetime in that part of the world. But on an average year, it takes about 35 to 40 acres a pair to sustain them year round. And then out here in Nebraska or in Nevada, it's, if you got good irrigated grass in the valley, you can run a lot of cattle. But if you're out on the desert, shit, you're like 120 acres a pair. And
you're running
those old cows. Yeah, they got to work to eat there. I mean, so they like their cattle. They like their horses with a little more leg, like their cattle with a little more leg, and they don't shy away from those crazy bitches that want to eat your lunch. They know that they may only see that cow a couple times a year, so she better be able to whoop off a coyote or whatever. And
Oh yeah.
so then you go to tag a calf or something of hers or do anything with it, and yeah, you better have some bodyguards there close, and your horse better be in tune. We got some cattle out of Jordan Valley, Oregon, and these were some straight up just like buckaroo style desert cattle. They were Charolais cross, not real flop eared, but they had some ear to them, like an eighth probably. But they had double chin wattles on them and ears marked up all, So I think Jordan Valley's that's like borders Nevada and Idaho, so that place probably has brands registered in all 3 states, but they gotta supplement it with earmarks and chin wattles to make it all match depending on what state they're in. And they were some rangy suckers. They did really well. They they looked a lot tougher than they were. You look at them coming off the truck, you're like, whew, these gonna be some running bastards, and they could be, but if you handle them right, whoever owned them, they did a good job on them. But they sure looked ranchy as hell. I mean, just you got 2 big old chin wattles and like 3 or 4 different earmarks on one animal, and they were a motherfucker to try to implant it. I can tell you that. They're worse than a bunch of damn Holsteins. We had this one calf ranch. I don't remember exactly which one it was. I probably shouldn't say it to give them any bad name, but they must have been pretty lax on their sanitation, especially on their taggers, because you'd have these heifers come in with a hole about yay big in their ear where ear tag was, and and everything's EID individual ID, and then an EID with it, and yeah, but it just that ear would just rot completely around that tag, and it must have stayed in there for a little while because that hole kept getting bigger, and those cattle were really really tough to implant, but they didn't have anything on them desert cattle, especially ones with a bunch of earmarks. They'd have plenty of ear to where it should be a good easy implant, but it was all just chopped up. You couldn't get your needle in there, and so you're putting it like right up there by their head almost, and like I hope we're not getting inspected on the placement of these things, because that's the only place I could find for it.
Looked like they come out of the brush and had a couple of dogs hanging off of them.
Yeah, pretty much. They were good cattle though. They gained the Charolais are gonna gain, so they did well. They did a 45-day wean, and then like another 15 days of backgrounding on them before they sent them to us. So it wasn't anything to get them on feed, and they kind of took off. But they, like I said, they just coming off the truck, you're like, these might be kind of rough, but you get to looking at them a little bit more, like, yeah, they're pretty fleshy stuff though, so they must have been eating good, and then you handle them, they do all right. The Mexican steer is kind of the same way. They you get any color you can think of coming out of there with ears about 7 foot long, and you think they're just going to be wild waspy suckers, and they will move. You don't have any problem moving them, but they're shit. I was washing the water tank in there the other day, and I was like waving the brush behind my back just to keep them from licking on my belt. And they acted like a bunch of damn
Holstein.
Yeah, pretty well, until you turned around and the whole pin was just like gone. But as soon as you turned your back to them, they were right up in your hip pocket. And then we got pretty lucky on this last set. They're pretty good health, so we haven't had they came in a little heavier than they normally do, but they came out of Laredo rather than than New Mexico. I think I can't remember where they were crossing there in New Mexico, but Santa Teresa maybe. I don't know, but these ones came out of Laredo, so it was like another like 500-mile trip for them. They looked like shit for about 2 days. Boy, they came in on Saturday, I think, and when I saw them they came in Friday night, and I saw them Sunday morning, and they still were just laying on the straw. Like you'd ride by them, and they'd raise their head to you and look, but they were like, "Fuck it, kill me. I don't care. I'm tired." they didn't give two shits.
I got a little bit of experience with Mexican cattle, and it's kind of the same way. You know, they're kind of about like a wild-colored pen of Holsteins, but them ones that we got, they were horrible to take feed. And
really,
oh yeah, and once they kind of got to eating, we were just fighting bloats left and right, and it was just, I mean, hell, they were used to eating sand and cactus, and they get a little bit of rich feed in them, and they just swell up like a tick.
Yeah. See, we had one set of Mexican cats. So I started. Let's see, when did I start? 09 is when I started in the feedlot, and so like that was right when the MCOOL went into place. So like the state of Kansas just didn't kill any Mexican cattle at all. Like I don't know if that was a state law or if it was just like an agreement with the packers that they weren't doing it. So like I think the summer before I started at Grant County, they had something like 12,000 head of Mexican cattle, and then when I worked there, we didn't have a single one. And then when I moved over to Cactus, we had one Mexican steer for about the first year. We had a customer out of Utah that would send us just a hodgepodge, just trailer load of shit.
Yeah, they're potload.
And yeah, and so but he'd always send spayed heifers, and they were just they came out of like southern Nevada, southern Utah, just flop-eared Brahma, just range cattle, desert cattle, and he'd always send spayed heifers, but he had this one just great big Mexican steer, and they must have used a different size brand on him because like I swear that M took up his entire hip, and so like we shipped like 82 head to Holcomb, and then we shipped one down to Amarillo because he couldn't be killed in the state of Kansas, and so we had to send one Mexican steer down to Amarillo. But we did get right around like 500-600 head of Mexican steers, and we didn't have any problem getting them to eat. We had like we'd bump them on feed. I was calling feed at the time, and we'd give them the maximum raise we could, under our protocol every day for about the first 3 weeks. But we also hayed them about 4 times a day. Just filled the bunk full of prairie hay, just trying to keep them in because they were some bunk crawling motherfuckers. They were out everywhere. I smoked one of them when I was calling feed first thing in them. I was reading bunks, and I was running about 40 down the bunk line, and I looked up, like right as I turned down the bunk line, I saw a big old pile of hay by this pen of Mexican cattle. Well, I'll have to pick up that hay here in a little bit. Then I got up there closer, and that pile of hay moved, and went to hit the brakes, and a little Mexican steer jumped out, and I smacked him, thought I killed him. Got out, and he jumped up and ran down the bunk line. Well, motherfucker. And then I heard antifreeze dripping out of the radiator. It was one of those little Chevy half tons with a plastic radiator, and yeah, so I had to jump start the backup bunk reading pickup to finish reading the yard. Fucking they were everywhere, and then and we got them in December too. Of all times to get Mexican cattle, that's got to be the worst. December, 3 weight Mexican steers in December. yeah, like middle of December. It was. We didn't have a whole lot of health issues, but boy, it could have turned into a wreck real quick.
Yeah, yeah, that could have been real bad.
Yeah,
If
we
wonder
I
they
worked
didn't
with this
freeze.
little. Yeah, I know it. I kind of wondered about him. I wondered a lot about that. But we had this little short Mexican guy that rode pins for us. His name was Teo, and it was one of those. It was probably like about a week after I smoked that little steer. Uh, we had a real bad cold snap where I mean it was like 30 below, and and we had petcocks, but we didn't have any overflow pipes for them, so it just all that overflow water just went out into the pen, turned it into a skating rink, and it was just it was one of those just cold, miserable days. So we're like we didn't even ride pins. We just walked each alley, checked water tanks, called for hot water when something was, a tank was froze up, and then checked for deads. That's all we did. But I had about 4 or 5 of the cowboys loaded up in my pickup, and I was just dropping them at the end of an alley, and I dropped Teo off. He was the last one in, and I go to drive off, and he hollered on the radio. I said, "Hey, I forgot my gloves," and we're all bundled up. So I just put it in reverse, and I was like, "Tell me if I'm about to hit you. I can't see." I said, "I already hit one little Mexican. I don't need to hit another." And within 3 minutes, I got called up to the manager's office and was told I couldn't. He was laughing, like he was crying, laughing. But he's like, "You can't say that on the radio. We're regulated by the FCC, so you can't say that." I never did hear if we got any fine for it. I don't think we did because I didn't cuss. But yeah. No, it's a different world working in the feedlot. I don't know. I like hearing the stories from the guys that work on these big outside crews, and I've been asked a lot about uh, how come I still work in a feedlot, and I was like, well, honestly, and it's not me saying that I'm a big top hand type guy. I mean, I can get the job done, I guess, but I'm no hand by any means. But those big outfits are like the ranch outfits. Like they can't afford me because I know what a feedlot's going to pay me, and I haven't seen a ranch that'll match it yet without wanting you to work 90 hours a week. So I don't know. It's a trade off, and if I was younger and single, I might go venture out. But you got a wife and kids at home. I better. And these guys treat me pretty well, so I'm gonna not mess that up.
The joys of
I don't
being
know.
young and single.
Yeah, for sure. And now I've got a place that lets me rope and shit. So I make sure I do what I say I'm gonna do, so they don't have any reason to fire me for roping something. But they so I've kind of got the best of both worlds. I get the feedlot paycheck, and I still get to cowboy a little bit, like actually cowboy some. But it's I don't know. There's not many of those places out there anymore. So it's when you get somebody that pays you pretty decent and lets you actually do your job without nitpicking. It's you kind of got to make sure you take care of them too, because there's not many opportunities like that anymore. They're all if you're riding pins, typically you're not allowed to carry a rope, and a lot of times they can tell you what bit you can hang in your horse's mouth, and fuck all that.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I work at a pretty small place that really I just about have free reign to whatever I want to do inside the boundaries of being responsible with what I do. But the other day I was thinking about, I could make more money if I go over here but they won't let you ride with like a Bozell or anything. And you got to have split reins and can't carry a rope at this place and all these different rules. And most of these yards around here now, if it's early morning shipping, you got to wear like a reflector vest. And I don't work on a fucking construction crew, and I ain't doing that. So I just went back to doing what I'm doing.
They were just starting to implement that at the JBS yards when I left Grant County Feeders. Like we had them, and they weren't required. They were strongly recommended. But I was kind of the head cowboy at one of the barns there, so it was my job to go get the light plant when we shipped early, and so I wasn't horseback till after the shipping was done, so I didn't have to worry about the reflector vest. But those, it's kind of like the mask deal. It seems kind of innocuous, but boy, it pisses people off. It really pisses people off, and especially like it's really not doing any good. Like if they can't see you with with your regular clothes on, well, they obviously didn't see the fucking gate right before them either in the feed truck. So if they didn't see the gate, I don't know what difference the reflector vest is going to make, because yeah, you're fucked either way if you're on horse. So I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I don't understand quite the outrage against it, but I also at the same time I get it. It's just more like the principle that matters. Like, well, no, everybody should have more common sense. Like, especially if you're, everybody at just about every yard I've worked at and every yard I've heard of, you have some sort of a day sheet that tells you where cattle are going, and and there's usually a check mark, or it'll say AM or PM as to when cattle are getting moved, and just read your damn day sheet, and be aware that especially a yard like that where you're shipping 1,500 head a day, just know that until about 8 o'clock there is going to be heavy traffic, whether it be semis or cattle crossing the alley. Just know that, and don't run into people. Like, it's not that fucking hard. But yeah.
I worked at a place one time, and we were shipping early in the morning, and the boss and his dad were horseback with us, and they were all bundled up, had hoodies on with the drawstring sucked tight as shit. Probably only could see about this much. And we're just trotting down the alley in front of a feed truck. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big fan of riding in front of a 12,000 pound feed truck, or they probably weigh more than that. It takes 30. A while for those to stop, and that's not going to go over well if he can't stop and I'm in front of him. So I kind of pay attention to where I'm riding. And apparently the feed truck driver couldn't see him, which to me is also just as ignorant. You've got fucking headlights. If you can't see and with your headlights on, you probably shouldn't be driving a feed truck. But they got just about run over, and the next fucking day they brought in safety vests for everybody to wear. So I said, I don't want to wear that fucking vest. It's not my fucking problem. I stay out of the way of the truck. And there was no argument there. They were very adamant about wearing the vests, and I left not long after that.
There's yards where they make you wear a helmet if you're riding a four-wheeler. Like you gotta wear a helmet.
Oh, you won't catch me on a four-wheeler.
Yeah, there's several. I don't. Like the only time I use a four wheeler is if I'm unloading cattle after dark, and I'm trailing them to the pen. Like I'm not gonna come back out to the yard and saddle a horse just to trail cattle to the pen. So I'll grab a four wheeler for that. But that's the only time I use it. But I think it was. I think Cactus was making them for a while, and I don't know about the JBS yards because I kind of tuned out of those. I just knew it was dog shit. You know, if you wanted to actually do your job, it was almost impossible at those yards when I kind of tuned out. But I think they were making you wear a helmet when you had the four wheeler, and then it didn't matter, like if you were just like even the nightman had to wear a helmet to pin cattle at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I will say though, there was one time I about smoked a mule deer on the four wheeler at the yard I work at here. It was about 11:30 at night. We had 3 or 4 trucks come in. You know, it was right in the road about 9 o'clock. They're coming out of I forget which sale barn, but over in California, and they all came just one right after another. I was able to weigh all 3 trucks and then go unload them, come back and weigh the trucks out. But I just got done pinning them, and I was headed back up to the shop to park the four wheeler, and this little spike just ran right out in front of this fucking four wheeler. I was in 5th gear, running about 40. And it was gonna hurt a lot. I know that. I was not looking forward to it. I was like, I was gonna swerve, and I was like, no, I'm going too fast for that. I'll roll this motherfucker. So I was like, I hope you get across there, little buddy. And he just barely did. But yeah, I was. It was one of those split second deals, and I was just about to yank the handlebars over, and I was like, nah, I'll fucking roll this thing at this speed. Well, I hope he moves fast. And he just got out of the way, but I don't know how much the helmet would have helped, but yeah.
Oh, a helmet's not going to save
hurt.
You. A helmet's not going to save you from breaking your neck.
Yeah.
No.
Everything else is going to be broke but your head.
Yeah. You can still be paralyzed with a helmet
fine.
on. What was that?
Just be a
Christopher Reeve. He had a helmet on. Look at him.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
He's dead now. But...
Did he die? I don't know.
He died a few years back. It's been a while.
He was doing the stem cells shit when it was like real controversial, but I think that at the time they were drawing that shit out of like aborted babies or something like that. So it was super controversial. I remember South Park did an episode where he was just like eating fetuses.
Yeah. Well, that's where all the stem cells come from.
I don't think that's the case anymore. Well, I know they get a lot of them out of there, but I don't think. I think there's different ways they can get them now. I don't know. That's not something I know a lot about, so I'm not gonna delve too deep into it. But I know it's not as controversial as it used to be.
You also don't hear a whole lot about it anymore either, though.
No, that's true.
It could be just as taboo now if it was more mainstream.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we were talking before you hopped on, and I heard a little bit. Like, I think Tim Pool covered it just briefly, and then I saw a couple articles about how Kodak was supposed to get a bunch of, or they were supposed to start manufacturing this vaccine for COVID, and then there was some report about how like there was insider trading going on, and then a bunch of congressmen dumped Kodak stock, and like Kodak lost like 40% overnight, some shit like that. But then I didn't hear anything. That was about a week ago, and I haven't heard anything about it since. So apparently that story must have not have supposed to come out, because I haven't heard anything about it since. And it's probably because there was enough people on both sides of the aisle that had their money tied up in that. And yeah, you can't make both sides look bad, because then the whole charade falls apart.
I wonder if there's a way. I doubt there is, but I wish there was a way to look up what public officials have stocks in, like a list saying like Nancy Pelosi has this many stocks of this company and yada 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 down the line. I bet we would find out where most of the problems come from.
I think so. I know Rand Paul had a bill, of course, that went nowhere because it made too much sense. Like he had a deal, like if you take any government funding at all, you cannot donate to a political campaign, which I think is brilliant. Like that was one of the big arguments with Planned Parenthood. Like I'm okay with Planned Parenthood being open. If that's the law of the land that you can have an abortion, I think they should be able to operate, within the law. But you cannot take federal funds to kill babies and then use said federal funds to donate to political campaigns that, that are going to support you and give you more funding. Like that, it's just corrupt. And it's the same thing with all these like energy lobbyists. Same thing. Like you're taking money from these oil companies to give them tax breaks, and then they're going to use the subsidies to donate to your campaign again. So it's just yeah, all that shit. If you could see where their money is tied up, where their money's coming from, yeah, I don't think it'd be near as corrupt. But they've got all these privacy laws that they pass through, and then they'll say that it's because they're a champion of the working class or whatever the fuck. But it's really to cover their ass.
Yeah, how convenient.
That's why they didn't go after Trump on using Trump Tower for foreign dignitaries, because you know who else does that? Fucking everybody else. Everybody else has something like that. So that's why they didn't go after him on it. They went after him on some bullshit Russia shit. But if they wanted to actually get him on some impeachable stuff, yeah, Trump Towers would be a perfect place to start looking. But they don't do that because, yeah, back when Harry Reid was still, like, he was worth like $100,000 when he got into Congress, and now he's worth like probably $100 million, something like that. Pelosi, same way. Like they're all, and like those are both Democrats, but Mitch McConnell, fuck, his wife is now like transportation secretary. You think she got that job because she's good at what she does? No, fuck no. She got it because Mitch McConnell's the Senate Majority Leader. And, yeah, it's just all, yeah, if you could see, if they could just break it down like on a person-by-person basis of where their money comes from and who it's coming, like, where they've got it tied up and where their donations are coming from, yeah, it'd make the picture a lot more clear. But they don't want that. They don't want that because that affects everybody.
We wouldn't have the politicians that we have now if that shit was transparent.
Yeah, they'd be voted out a hell of a lot quicker.
A hell of a lot quicker. And the ones that are doing good, which are kind of few and far between on both sides, the ones that are actually doing it for the people, you can't hardly find those guys anymore.
No, you can't. Well, and Mandy just had a comment going back to the nonsense bullshit rules like the reflector vest. It's because people sue But it's also because these companies cave in because they don't want the headache. Instead of taking a stand and like, maybe even taking a hit and just being like, no, this is like that guy should have had more common sense. No, they either settle out of court or they just pay some money to make it go away. That's how these big companies work. And but it's all how the laws are set up. It's same way with like the police brutality, like that Eric Garner guy got choked out. It should have never been there. He was selling cigarettes. The whole reason was he was not paying taxes to the city of New York, and that's why he got choked out. Or that's why he was getting arrested, and that's why he got choked out and died. Because you turned a policeman into a tax collector is what you did. And but nobody's addressing that part. It's all race baiting bullshit. Like nobody's talking like why is the officer, I don't even remember the guy's name, that killed George Floyd, why are they responding to a fake $20 bill? Like, tell the guy to move on, don't serve him, and that's it. And if he tries to break in, then let the cops come in. But like there was none of that. It was just he was high and trying to use a fake $20 bill, and then you got a bunch of cops that come in, don't know how to do their job. Like, but they shouldn't be responding to that in the first place. Like all these traffic stops where where somebody gets a cop gets shot. Why? You're turning your cops into tax collectors, and they're getting shot for it. And then that's the bad part about it. But it all leads with all these goddamn laws that make no sense, but it adds money to the coffers of whoever is pushing them through, whether it be on the state or the federal level or even the local level. And it's always the cops that have to enforce it, and because of that, cops get a bad name because they're put in a shitty situation, and a lot of times you have shitty cops dealing with that situation. They handle it in a shitty way. I don't know. It's a fucking stupid deal all the way around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and now you're at the point where you like they're fucking burning down cities, and you've got like the right wing crowd that just says fuck all that. I'm pro cop, and you got the other side that says fuck all those racists. I'm pro black people, and there's all the people in the middle, or they don't. I won't even say in the middle, but like that don't have a dog in the fight. Like you kind of agree with both sides, but now you're forced to just pick a side, and it's I don't know. The whole thing's stupid. I hate it all. I hate it all.
I want it all to burn to the ground. I want the U.S. dollar to mean nothing, so I don't have to work anymore.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for one of these days where like you guys go fight it out. Tell me who wins, and then I'll know if like I can come out of hiding or if I got to go deeper in the hills. But just I'll pop up every now and then just to see who won, and that's about it. But like, God, like most of this shit, I don't even have a dog in that fight. Just leave me alone. Just let me do my thing.
Yeah,
On the safety vest thing, I volunteered to sign paperwork saying I wouldn't sue them if I got hurt, but they wouldn't.
Oh yeah, I've done that before. I'm actually gonna call my doctor here in the next day or two and see if he'll write me a note that says I'm exempt from wearing a mask, because I'm actually a little bit worried about. I gotta fly to Nebraska next month, and now they're starting to put people on no-fly lists for refusing to wear a mask, and I might have to fly some places here in the next year or so. So I really don't want to get. I'm probably on some sort of a list, but I'm not on a no-fly list yet. So I at least want. I'll cave and I'll give you my papers. I've got papers that says I don't need to wear a mask, but Ah, this
You
thing
ought to
is
dress
getting.
up. You ought to dress up like a Muslim woman and get one of those really loud ticking clocks. Take it with you.
I do have the skin tone for it. I could probably pass. I've also got the facial hair for it, so I think I could pass. That's not a knock on Muslim women. That's a knock on my beard. I don't know, man. It's I've kind of decided like the only thing I can do is just make jokes about this whole thing because it's gonna happen either way. So fuck it, might as well have some fun while we're in it. It's
Oh yeah, if you can't have fun, you ain't living.
yeah, it's I don't know. There's the bad part is they're still kind of forcing everybody to stay home, which I 150% believe has nothing to do with the corona. It's all about weakening the economy to get
Yep.
Trump out of office. And I am not a Trump guy. Like I think I've made that fairly clear. I didn't vote for him. I still don't plan on voting for him. But I was telling a college friend of mine the other day, I don't see how he's any better or worse than the last like 5 or 6 presidents. When you look at him on a sheer policy basis, he's been a little better on regulation than most of them. He's been worse on spending. He's been about the same on the war side of things. Like he's just kind of the same, but he's good on Twitter and he pisses people off for whatever reason. Like he really pisses people off, and that's the only difference I can really see in him and the other presidents that we've had in our lifetimes. Like because policy wise, he's pretty well right on track with everybody else. Uh, so I just don't understand the outrage that he that he brings out in people. I don't get it, but I don't know, for whatever reason, people hate him with a fiery passion. And but then there's folks like me, and I think Nick, you're kind of in this category too. But like, I don't particularly like the guy, but I do love it that he pisses off the radical left wing. That kind of just it makes me laugh. And but now I like shit's kind of serious right now. Like you might ought to step up and do some shit. So I don't know. I don't have a dog in this fight. Like I should. But I can't put myself behind anybody that's running right now. And I don't know. I'll just make fun of it all.
Yeah,
Make
all
fun of
they're
it all.
doing is shoveling two scoopfuls of shit in front of us, and I don't think I'm gonna eat. I don't like either one. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather have Trump than Biden, but I'd rather just not even have a fucking president at this point.
Well, it's not so much that Biden. I don't think he would be terrible per se. I don't think he's gonna live past the first year of his presidency.
Yeah, and Kamala
got-
would be a fucking dictator within like the first 3 weeks.
She's a younger black Hillary Clinton, like same kind of personality. Yeah, and she is not afraid to throw anybody in jail. That's like Kamala Harris is a cop.
You don't even have to break
is
the
a
law, and she'll
cop.
throw you in jail.
She threw single black mothers in jail because their kids were skipping school. In the meantime, these single moms are working like 3 jobs just trying to put food on the table. They have no idea what's going on outside those jobs. That's their whole life, is just trying to make rent, put food on the table. And they get thrown in jail because their shithead kid is not going to school. So how's that supposed to make their life better, Kamala Harris? Like, how was that supposed to help the black community, the minorities, the minority women?
She intentionally blocked evidence in multiple cases to overturn guilty rulings on people. Like there were a few cases where all they needed was evidence, like DNA evidence testing, to find the person not guilty, and she blocked it. And there's been multiple interviews with her saying that she wanted to keep people in prison because we can use them as labor force and pay them like $1 a day. And to me, that sounds a hell of a lot like slavery. I mean, because what's a fucking $1 a day when you're locked in prison? You can't spend it.
But see, it's not technically slavery because they're getting paid or something. Nick, come on, you're not woke enough. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. You chain a bunch of people together and set them on the side of a road, picking up trash or clearing brush, and that looks a hell of a lot like slavery to me.
Well, it's the American dream, buddy. It's the American dream.
Yeah.
That's
That's got to be bottom of the barrel right there.
Yeah, but hey, that's who's going to be president if Biden wins, I think.
They're gonna.
I'm still
him.
not. I'm still
Somebody's
not counting out Hillary. I'm still not counting out Hill Dog. I still think she's going to make a play somewhere, but I don't know. But hey, there was pictures of old Slick Willie with one of those underage Epstein girls. Just so happened to come out like the other day. You heard anything about that on the news? I haven't.
Not on the news.
No. I've heard about it on a couple podcasts, but not on the news.
I seen a blurb somewhere on one of the cruising through the internet, but yeah, that's all it was, is just a blurb, and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's kind of like the Kodak thing. It was there for, except this had less attention than the Kodak deal. It was because I at least saw the Kodak deal on a couple mainstream outlets, but I've not seen anything about Bill Clinton being pegged. Pun intended, by the way. On Epstein on Epstein Island, and then there's pictures of him with one of those girls from the Epstein documentary as she was underage, and like Clinton's got his arm around her. That no attention there. He still gets a primetime speaking spot at the DNC. Or I don't know if it was primetime or whatever, but he's still a speaker at the DNC, which I guess that's going on right now. The virtual convention.
He was critiquing Trump's morality inside the Oval Office.
It's
like he should be speaking on the subject ever.
Yeah, so all of this that we've been saying, like this is what makes me say that we are living in a simulation. Like, because if you read this in a say like a Tom Clancy novel, like you'd be like, all right, Tom Clancy, I liked your work. It was good for a while, but you are smoking
crack.
It's like season 7 of Weeds. Do you ever watch that show Weeds?
No.
It was really good for about like five seasons, and then like it just went off the rails. Like, yep, you guys have ran out of ideas, and you're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. Like, that's what you would think if you read this in a Tom Clancy novel. You're like, Tom, you just ran out of ideas. You're washed up. You're done. No, but this is apparently real life, and that's why I say we're living in a simulation. That's all there is to it. And this is why when we establish the Church of Burning Daylight, that's why Mike Judge will be one of our prophets, because he called this with Idiocracy a long time ago. So he called it almost verbatim, the dumbing down of society. And honestly, what was his name? The president in Idiocracy, the big black guy that was just shooting a 50 caliber on the fucking bus as he was rolling up to the White House. He'd probably be a better president than both of the guys that are running right now.
I'm just gonna write my name in. So anybody listening, I can't be president because I'm not old enough, but please write my name in for me on your ballots.
I'm writing Bill Murray and Sam Elliott. You got left wing, you got right wing, and you got both awesome people. So that's Sam Elliott for VP and Bill fucking Murray. If we're gonna have an old senile white dude as president again, they might as well be fucking hilarious. And you know what the conspiracy theory surrounding Bill Murray is that he just like pops in and eats one of your French fries and says nobody will ever believe this and walks away. That's the conspiracies surrounding Bill Murray, not Epstein. So if we're gonna have a 70-plus-year-old senile dude, it might as well be Bill Murray. So that's my write-in candidate: Bill Murray, Sam Elliott.
I got a question for you, Matt. If by horrible circumstances Biden wins, how long do you think he'll be in office before he gets dead by some way,
I don't
shape,
even know
or
if
form?
I don't even know if he'll make it to the inauguration. Like, Now I'll give him 6 months. 6 months, and then he'll have to step down, and Kamala Harris is going to try to use the 25th Amendment. I heard that today on a podcast, and I think that's a pretty insightful thing. Kamala Harris is going to try to use the 25th Amendment, say that he is unfit for office, and then you're going to have the entire Republican Party fighting to keep Joe Biden in office in order to keep Kamala Harris out. That was a prediction. It was on Drinking Bros today. I think that's a very thought out conspiracy. That could happen. I don't think Biden has a chance. I don't give a shit what the polls say. Dude cannot string together a full sentence coherently.
They're not going to let him do debates. You know damn good and well that they have debates.
They can't.
Won't happen.
You can say Trump is crazy, and you're probably right. But he's still got his wits about him. Like, Joe Biden doesn't know where the fuck he's at anymore. I mean, honestly, like that guy doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and they're just trying to keep him out of the media so he doesn't say something stupid, which he's going to. There's
every time he does an interview, he says something that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
like if Trump said some of the shit that he said, oh my god! Like,
yeah,
I can't believe that interview he did, and he said, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black." Could you imagine if Trump had said that?
He also said, he said, poor children are just as bright as white children.
Yeah. There was one not long ago where he was talking about the Latin community was much more diverse and had varying ideas, pretty much saying that all black people were the same. And
pretty much.
My God. But
Yeah,
everybody
and
looks over that.
they just had a black Trump supporter win a primary there in Florida, which is kind of crazy, but yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
I've got
Yeah, I don't
I've got
know.
a very liberal uncle who lives in Florida that I frequently debate on Facebook for the fun of it. But I hope he's just fucking pissed after that happens.
That's have you guys ever defriended anybody because of their political views on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
I
I've been I I've been defriended, but I've never defriended anybody because of their political views. Actually, I kind of there's a couple go-to people that are like super left wing, but they grew up in Baca County, Colorado. Grand total of like 5,000 people. Also about the size of the state of Rhode Island. So I mean, it's a pretty big county with nobody living there. And there's a handful of people that somehow turned out like super left wing from Baca County, like, and they're like legacy families of Baca County, like been there for a long time. And so I don't quite understand how that happened, but I keep them around just so I can see like what the, I guess, take the temperature of the super lefties. But I've had a couple of those type of people defriend me. That was a while ago. Like they're, I don't know. I don't know. It's I've muted people or unfollowed. I've kicked people out of the bull session because they were not funny. Like they were just looking to start political rants, which that's what I do. That's not what the bull session does. If I have to scroll more than like 3 scrolls to see a funny meme on my own damn page or my own damn group, you're gone. I don't. I want to see funny shit immediately. That's why that's why the bull session's there. And so there's a couple people I've blocked just because it wasn't funny, or they're crossing that line from making a racial stereotype joke to like a full-on racist deal, and we can't do that. Just can't do that. I don't care if that's your feelings. It's just not going to happen on my group. It's just like we got a pretty cool deal going there, and it's probably going to get shut down at some point. There's 5 safety violations today that popped up. I don't know what they were. I just stopped checking them, but yeah. So it's gonna get shut down. But in the meantime, let's try not to get it shut down. Let's not try extra hard to get flagged. Like just, we got a pretty good thing going. Let's keep it cruising. But yeah, if you're not funny and you post a bunch, you're probably not gonna last. Anyhow, I don't know. It's a weird time. I keep saying that, but it's a fucking weird time we're living in. So let's make fun of it. That's about all we can do. Well,
am I coming through on you guys' side? I can't see shit on my side.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, you got some great facial expressions.
Yeah, that's one of my downfalls. My wife hates going into public with me because of that.
You got Tucker Carlson syndrome where you just can't help it. There's like,
yeah, that's about right too.
I don't have the facial deal, I don't think, but I just go, well, and then my wife goes, oh, here we go. He's about to go into autism mode. I can't help it.
I end up getting the F Tourette at times.
Yeah. So, serious question is being on the spectrum one of the exempted categories for the mask mandate. I'm not sure on that because I will play that card if if that's the case.
I
I
I don't know
doubt
if
it.
it's provable.
I
I don't
didn't
know if
catch
it's
all that.
provable. Uh, if you're on the spectrum, is that considered a disease that exempts you from wearing a mask? Because if that's the case,
Yeah.
I will pull that
Yep.
card. I don't have any proof to it, but I will pull that card all day
Uh,
long.
at least here in Iowa, they have exempted everyone who is on the spectrum, as far as for being exempt for mandatory mask into businesses that require them, or like
Oh, okay.
school or shit like that. It's the it's I, I think being here, they're kind of one of the few states that kind of pretty well told Fauci to stick it, and we're gonna leave it up to the people to decide whether they want to do it, or business owners and that sort of thing. So
They did that here in Kansas, and then shortly after, the governor left it up to the local governments to decide it. She was saying that if we have any spike in COVID cases, like they were predicting, that she was going to make it mandatory throughout the state. And then they got caught lying about the numbers, and I haven't heard anything about or anything at all from the governor after that. So that was pretty funny.
they gotta keep those numbers, bump those numbers to get the money.
Oh yeah, all about that federal funding.
Well, that's the same deal with those fires they got going out in Colorado too. I mean, they could go and put them out, put fire lines on in there and that sort of thing, but yeah, they want the money.
Oh yeah. It's a shame that Trump didn't quit sending federal funding to the states that had the riots. Like Portland were having those big riots, and they were asking for funding to fix the damages, and he was threatening not to give it to them. I don't know if he did or not, but I fucking wouldn't. They let it go on for like 3 months.
Hell no. Yeah, I mean
The
they let it
Portland
go
deal.
on.
Is
The
that what you're talking about?
the riots in Portland,
Yeah.
they were asking
Yeah.
for
Fuck
federal
Portland.
funding.
Of course
They
they were.
wanted funding to
But they
fix
don't want any
damages.
help.
Oh
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't want
no.
any help from the federal police when they got rid of their own. Like, if you want to talk about the like where the funding for police goes, I'm all in favor of that because there is a lot of fat that can be cut. Most of it comes from administration type deal. Same with the education department. It's all a bureaucratic deal. But to say that no, we don't need police, we're defunding you, and me being like right on the edge of being complete anarchist. I'm not there yet. Like I think it's a good philosophical exercise, but like in reality, no, we're nowhere near that. So before we talk about privatized police, let's talk about the situation we have right now. Like you have a police force that we pay for, and now you're just going to get rid of it in a very short order. And in the meantime, you have riots going on. Like not peaceful
Yeah.
protests, but fucking riots. And
For
you
80
have
some odd days straight.
you have the police or the mayor who is also like the de facto police chief attending said riots and then bitching about federal agents protecting a federal courthouse. I don't give a fuck about the federal courthouse. I won't shed a tear if they burn that fucker to the ground. I don't care, one way or the other. But if we're looking at the law, it's federal property, and the city of Portland is not taking care of business. So who's that leave? Federal agents protecting federal property. 100% constitutional, and the way they did it, it might look bad on camera. They jump out, snatch up somebody, throw them in a van, and get on out of there. But it wasn't a line of police with fucking billy clubs marching in and cracking heads. It was a very surgical strike. They had these guys on camera wrecking shit. I mean, the tactics, maybe not great optically, but still better than watching a cop bash somebody over the head with a billy club. I think in the situation, as with shitty situations comes shitty solutions, that was probably the least shitty of all the situations there. I mean, like just looking at it from a strictly logical point of view, that was probably about the best job they could have done given the circumstances. They offered help to quell the riots. Portland said, fuck you, you're a racist. And they said, all right, whatever. Let it burn, but you ain't coming over here. And if you do, we're snatching up the people that are starting shit, and we're taking them for a little ride. I don't care what happened to them in the meantime. Like, I'm all for human rights. I'm all for due process, but I'm also a big believer in you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. you poked the bear, you better watch the fuck out. And I don't know. It's a wild time, and I'm glad I don't live in Portland. I'm glad I don't live in Minneapolis. I'm glad I don't live in anywhere close to a major city, and I'll plan on keeping it that way.
Oh, damn.
Shit, we covered a lot of ground tonight, fellas. I don't know where it all went to, but I enjoyed the fuck out of it. So, hey, and we still got 3 people listening. So,
oh, hot damn, we're doing good then.
We're doing great. Appreciate all you fuckers that listen to that verbal nonsense. But Rainer, where can everybody find your bits and shit on Facebook?
Oh, I got
or anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, most of the time he just hit me up on Facebook. I got a business page, but trying to keep on top of that while doing everything else is kind of hard to do. Between that and Instagram on my Rainer Hildebrand, that's about the easiest way to find me.
Cool. Nick, how about you?
Nick Allen Lute on Facebook and Will Cowboy for Food on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, you guys know where to find me, and if you've been listening for a while, and if you haven't, Matt McKinley on Facebook, at MickerMac85 on Twitter and Instagram. Those are my personal pages. The show page is Burning Daylight on Facebook and YouTube, at Move Your Ass everywhere else. And go check out the website, burning-daylight.com. We got a t-shirt up there. Yeah, I don't want to... Anyway, we got the Doucheboro t-shirts up there. We'll have some hats in stock here pretty soon. And yeah, it's been a crazy time trying to get all the fucking merchandise shit set up with all the like shipping is so backed up right now. It's ridiculous.
That's a nightmare all unto itself.
It's like we went back to '97 where we actually had to wait for packages to show up. I hate it. I hate it. It's not here in 2 days. What the fuck?
Damn you, Amazon!
Oh, what are we, cavemen? Jesus! Oh,
it all depends on which outfit you go with on the ship, and
yeah.
I've gotten hosed all the way around through all three of them.
Yeah, I think by and large, UPS is the best way to go. It's a little more expensive, but it's probably the most reliable.
Yeah.
Um, for all the shit that the Postal Service catches, well deserved. Like they still
Uh,
operate
uh,
inefficiently, but they'll get you your shit most of the time, kinda.
no, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Well,
Well,
if you
kinda.
if you order anything from me and you pay right price, I'll send it via carrier pigeon. But
There you go.
there are
Yeah.
no insurances on the purchase.
Well, speaking of which, like Matt Wilson was gonna join us tonight, but he had some family in town, so he had to back out. But even though he's not here, like I had a really diverse group of very talented craftsmen lined up tonight, and I'm pretty damn proud of that. Um, not so much on my part, but just that I get to interact with these. Like Rainer's been following me for I don't know how long. We never conversed, face to face ever yet. But like even on Zoom, we hadn't conversed. But like we've been following each other for the better part of a year or maybe more now. But and
Yeah.
Nick's he's become one of my good buddies, and Matt Wilson same way. But these guys are really talented craftsmen, and the price is right for these guys. Like you're getting good quality handmade products for basically working cowboy prices, and that's a cool thing. I think one of the few good things that can come out of this whole pandemic nonsense, whatever your beliefs on there, it's not been good. But one of the good things that's come out of it is like people are starting to realize like fuck, we are very dependent on China and India and Pakistan, and we don't make a whole lot of shit in America anymore. But there's still people like Nick and Rayner and Matt Wilson and Jake Houston. Just anybody that I've had on that makes stuff. Go look them up, because that's how we're gonna get through this thing. Is like we're gonna have to start making shit here again, and we're gonna have to you know, we're gonna have to start doing a lot more small business type stuff because, when you have something like this, whether it be a viral deal or just a blatant power grab, which in this case I think we saw both, uh, you know, shit's pretty fragile, and if we're not self sufficient, um, like we're fucked. So I think people are kind of realizing that, and you don't have to build stuff yourself, but you better know somebody who does, because that's what's gonna help you get through. And these guys make cool shit. It's good stuff, and it just I don't know. I'm kind of passionate about that. Like help these guys out. They're trying to make a living, and at the same time they're making good quality, cool cowboy shit. So go check them out. Nick Lute, Rainer Hildebrand, Matt Wilson. I appreciate you guys coming on, and I appreciate you guys listening. But I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. So move your ass. We're burning daylight.